And for 11 years, he's been the floor supervisor at this fabrication company. Got a perfect record, perfect attendance. He's got perfect, safety scores. He really functions at the top level. But last month, he got up for breakfast, and there on the kitchen table were divorce papers. He didn't know what's coming. He had no idea what was coming. This week, now that was a month ago. This week, his foreman logged his second near miss. That means he almost ran over somebody. That's twice now. Nobody's connected these two things yet, Cass.
Well, yeah, because that's the gap
Right.
between what's happening at home and what anyone at work knows about. That's exactly where the bleed lives. This is what we're talking about today, the human bleed. Okay, the reason why corporations' bottom lines are affected is because of what's happening in their homes outside of the office, right? From the relationship side. By the time those papers hit the table, the disconnection has been building for so many years, right?
Yeah.
Tom's wife didn't wake up one day and decide to fucking leave.
No.
She tried to reach him, and eventually she stopped
She
trying
just quit.
and served him. Yeah.
He really did. And that's what kills us when we work with these companies, Cass. It's just really hard to walk into an organization and everybody's all about the numbers, all about the profits, all about the things. But there are some things that aren't even on the radar. I mean, this near miss, basically, they see it like a safety issue. This foreman needs to be reprimanded. He needs to be written up. They see this missed deadline as a performance issue, but they never really get to the bottom of the barrel and ask the question, what happened? What's going on in your life, Tom? What's going on in the life of the people around you? What happened 6, 12, 24 months ago?
Well, because corporations that we work with, they don't understand that if you can get in the life of the employee, then you can actually move your bottom line and actually, we'll call it rise it.
That's
right. I mean, Tom, he never had permission to ask or to talk about his life. Right. So he goes to work, he clocks in, he shows up, but he's not present. Functioning at 50%?
Yeah.
While all of this stress is going, because, I mean, and we'll talk about this because there's all these other layers. It's not just the divorce papers, right?
That's right.
I mean, something that people need to be aware of here, we got to hear from the Nashville Business Journal, $300 billion a year. That's the cost of relationship stress to U.S. employees.
Wow.
40% of productivity drops in the first 6 months of divorce. Okay? So keep in mind, Tom's just starting this right now.
That's right.
Right? It's just the beginning.
It's just a month of being served. He's not even divorced yet.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And the average employee is going to lose 168 work hours. That's 5 weeks, you guys. 5 weeks of lost time per person going through something like a divorce.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's right. And you know what that boils down to for this company that we're talking? These are real data. These are real numbers, real stories from real companies. There's 62 people that work at this manufacturing company. And the cost of Tom alone and what's happening with his divorce, we've calculated to be $266,000 a
in the
year.
Next year. Yeah.
A year in relational instability alone. Now, that's just one of 7 areas that we found in this work, Cass. And it's not a rounding error. I mean, this is a line item. That's not that's not like $1,000. This is over $250,000. It's not a line item on a P&L, but it should be. It should be.
Well, because the thing is, it's not just Tom.
Right.
Research shows that the average couple waits, 6 years? I think it was 6 years. Yeah, from the onset of serious problems.
Yes.
Right? They don't get help. They don't know how to get help. They don't know where to get help. And companies aren't supporting them. So most people don't get help. I mean, we see that with my following. We have about 1.5 million followers across the platforms.
Right.
And we have less than 1% getting help from us.
That's right.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the company's been absorbing these costs from all of these employees.
That's right.
Right? And that's long before the paper showed up on the kitchen table.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, the divorce papers were not the beginning of the bleed. The bleed was happening. That's what we're talking about long before the papers were signed. The moment it became impossible to ignore is what the papers were. And so we've got an answer to this. We talk about the human bleed, then we have a surgery. The surgery for this is for every dollar invested in relationship-focused support, the return is $5.39. Okay? So one proactive conversation from the plant director could unlock $53,000 in recoverable cost and bleed one alone.
Isn't that crazy? That's 5X just
right.
by supporting somebody you should care about
That's right.
because it's your company,
That's right. And so
right?
MFA,
Yeah.
this company we're talking about, is in the 80% of U.S. companies with no relationship support policy. And, we see that in Gallup, a 2024 poll that Gallup did, and also CuraLink Healthcare. So this is
Mhm.
data and information we're just finding here. So anyway, well, that's one. And I mean, we've got tons of these. We've got
Oh my
tons of
gosh.
these.
The talent walking out your door isn't leaving for a better offer.
Mm,
Like the bottom line is if we're talking about a woman here, her body's on fire and nobody has the protocol to fix it,
right.
you know?
That's right.
Right? One of the things that gets avoided in every boardroom conversation, and I really want to be direct about this. Okay? We don't have the language for it, but like menopause doesn't show up in a performance fucking review.
Right.
Brain fog doesn't get flagged.
Right.
Not in a one-on-one. So what happens? The symptom gets labeled. She's inconsistent. She's just being sharp. The company loses a decade of institutional fucking knowledge.
Right. That's right. And and then and what happens there? Mark is the managing partner there. He's 51, and he's been telling himself, his wife Julie's coldness is just a phase. Just a phase. Less touch, less conversation, less of everything. Just sort of feel like roommates, but it's okay. It's going to get better. So his energy in the context of his home is quietly eroding, and he brings that to work. So three of his top female advisors declined client meetings this quarter. One resigned without a real explanation. And Mark, he just keeps saying, well, it's just market stress, market stress. He hasn't put it all together. He hasn't put anything together yet because he doesn't know how.
Well, they don't know how, and they don't know what to ask. I mean,
Right.
perimenopause drops estrogen and progesterone 40 to 50%.
That's right.
That's directly. And that reduces libido, emotional warmth,
Right.
sleep problems. Intimacy declines 30 to 40% on average.
Right.
But see, Mark isn't reading some biological fucking event,
Right.
right? He's like reading it, every signal, every sign from his wife that it's relationship and rejection,
That's right.
right? So he doubles down on the distance, and that's exactly the wrong response.
Yeah. And, we talked about, this is hormonal changes, menopause and things of that nature. But there's a male side of this that nobody talks about. Testosterone at 30 begins to decline 1 to 2% per year. And by 50, a man can be dealing with chronic fatigue. Not chronic fatigue is in the syndrome, but just constant fatigue. He can be irritable. He can just be frustrated all the time. Brain fog, depressive symptoms. A lot of men, when they turn 50, am I getting Alzheimer's? The research shows that severe andropause, which is the reduction of the hormone levels in a man, like menopause would be for the woman, increase work impairment risk by 21 times. Okay? And that, again, is not a rounding error. That's a leadership crisis at the top of the organizational chart. It's invisible, and it's completely untreated.
Well, they don't have the language for it.
Right.
So couples are going through this biochemically, hormonally, emotionally. They don't have the language. Like I always say, we're expected to be a man and woman in a relationship. We don't know how. And then we go to work with this fog, right? I mean, speaking from me as a man, when Catherine didn't want me, I did not focus the same way.
That's right.
Right? Now, I'm not talking about menopause in this case, but for the example, it's the same. It's hormonal. Right?
That's right.
Catherine was, and you guys have all been there. If your wife has a baby, hormones change.
Yes.
Right? Body is not physically able to do things. This is the same thing with menopause, and it fucks with a man's head.
Right.
Massively.
That's right.
You probably remember. You have a lot of kids. You probably
I do.
remember.
That's right. I do. Absolutely. So what's the cost of that? We did some research there. What's the cost of that?
Yeah, 26.6 billion total annual U.S. cost of menopause in the workforce. 75% of affected workers experience symptoms for 4 to 8 years.
Wow.
That's 72% hiding the symptoms at work.
Wow.
Again, they don't have the language. See, we can't even do it at home. How are we supposed to do it at work? Isn't that crazy? That's according to the Mayo Clinic and NIH PMC.
Yeah, the National Institute of Health. Yeah, that's a 2024 survey, and they also bring the distinction is that andropause, the testosterone reduction in men, increases work impairment 21 times. I've already said that. So, this company's 3 exits in Q3 alone represent $427,500 in replacement cost. Okay. Listen to this. That's a single quarter retention failure that a policy change could have prevented.
A policy change.
Just a policy change.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Because right now we have policies in place to protect our employees, but really, who are we protecting? Right? We
Yeah.
think we're working to take care of them, and we want to move them forward, but if we're not even addressing, it's like we always say with what we normally teach in our programs, right? If we're not addressing the actual issues, we're addressing the symptoms.
That's right.
Then how are we actually getting anywhere? Make a policy change and save $500,000.
That's right.
That's what I just heard.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So what's the surgery there?
Let me pull it up here. Companies with menopause supportive policies retain 47 more mid-career women.
47%. Yeah.
Every $1 in employee mental health returns $4 to $5. So we're seeing that 4 to 5x again.
Right.
Productivity and retention. All right. AWPs, I don't know what that means.
That's the company we're talking about.
Thank you. Total bleed across all 7 categories would be $4.7 million a year.
Wow.
20% improvement saves $938K annually. $1 million. That's according to Fisher Phillips.
Yep.
Right? See, a man who understands what's happening in his home is the leader who stops losing his best people at work.
That's right.
Right? These aren't separate problems. It's the same problem wearing 2 completely different masks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
11 million employees. 11 million employees are holding 2 families together right now. They're not disengaged. They're drowning, and none of them are telling you.
Wow. So this is Diane. She's 46. She's director of human resources with this company, and her mother. That's what this story is. Her mother has the onset of Alzheimer's. The diagnosis was 2 years ago, and she's been hiding it. She hasn't told anyone at work. She hasn't told her friends. Only the family knows. And logging memory care appointments as personal days. Okay. So she's not even being honest. I got to go take my mom to the doctor. She's taking her personal time, her paid time off, her vacation days and things of that nature to take her mom to the doctor. So she was offered a promotion because she's dynamic at work, but she passed on the promotion. She earned it, but she said, I just not ready for me. She didn't tell him why. She comes home and her husband, Kevin, has nothing left of her. And her son, Dylan, who's at the time of this information, which was a couple of months ago, is 17 years old, has learned not to need anything from her because she can't give anything else. She's wiped out. She's hiding it. And at work, she's literally deciding to just die, to do her job and die.
That's the part that fucking breaks me, man.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I have to work hard to be a father. You know what I mean? It's not my natural. But Dylan didn't decide he didn't need his mom.
Right.
He learned, and he has to protect her because he can see that she's dying inside. She needs more support.
Yes.
I can't stand that a 17-year-old boy is learning to protect his parents.
Yes.
Instead of being parented, man. Because we know we're not adults until we're fucking 30. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's a long, hard road for Dylan.
That's right.
Up.
Well, the funny thing is that one of Diane's primary jobs as a director of human resources is she built the EAP, and an EAP is an employee assistance program, and it's a free and confidential work-based benefit that offers short-term counseling and things of that nature. But so get this now, Diane built the EAP that's supposedly helping everybody else in the company. She knows supposedly she knows every support resource in the company, but she cannot bring herself to be honest enough or to utilize any of them. Now, see, people say, well, what's wrong with her? Why she can't be stronger? Listen, it's not weakness. See, that's the data. Leaders are statistically less likely to use mental health resources than frontline employees. Why?
Isn't that crazy?
Because if I'm the director, if I'm the CEO, I've sat at SVP spots and director spots and things like that in nonprofits and other companies. And dude, you can't have a bad day. You can't have you can't feel a certain way. You can't be. I was actually told at one of the organizations I worked with back in the early 2000s, James, if you're having trouble finding joy, you should just find another line of work. Not what's going on, are you okay? We don't like the fact that you're not on cloud 9 bouncing like a circus clown. You need to do something else because the stigma scales with the title.
It does. See, when, by the way, we talk about this all the time. You have to be a product of the product.
Right.
Like if you work for us, you have to be a product of the product, right?
Yes.
See, when a person who builds the system won't even touch it, the culture gets the fucking
That's right.
message, right?
That's right.
Every person at Northbridge is reading Diane's behavior.
Right.
They're watching. They're like
Yeah.
little sponges watching all the way up to the top,
Correct.
right? And Diane's setting the standard,
She is.
right? That's how the culture actually works. That's how you build culture, by leading by example, right? And that's,
Correct.
I mean, we teach on leadership a lot differently than most people. But see, most people think about it's what's posted on the wall. This is the policy. Can we recite or let's do the Walmart speech every morning?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Yes.
know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. You need to be the product of the product, right?
That's right. Yeah. And the funny thing is that this company, there's 58 employees. So statistically, there are 6 to 9 people that are going through exactly what Diane is living right now. 0 of them have talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
0 of them are, none of them are using the resources at hand. And the resources that the resources at hand are typically insufficient to actually deal with how it's going to affect the outcome. They may help the person emotionally, but they don't help them walk in the manner in which it's going to not affect home, Dylan, and not affect work. I'm not going to get that promotion that I've worked for 20 something years to get.
Yes.
You know, and so the company has no way of knowing it. Why? Because the culture taught them not to say it. Now, what's the actual cost here? AARP. If you don't know anything about AARP, you need to look it up. It's one of the most amazing membership corporations, companies, organizations in the world, in the United States specifically. I don't know if it's and they have a lot of data. And in 2025 and 2023, according to their Public Policy Institute, they say that 61% of working caregivers have cut hours, declined promotions, or left the workforce completely. And I know off the top of my head right now, 3 people that I know, first and last name, that I've known for 30 plus years, who have done the exact same thing.
We're talking to somebody right now who is a high level hotel,
Yes.
building a lot of hotels,
Correct.
billionaires.
That's right.
And she's not happy. She's thinking about leaving.
That's right.
Based off her relationship and specifically with her kids, if I recall.
That's correct.
Correctly.
And so being a caregiver, that they don't disclose the reason, they just leave.
Yeah.
And AARP gets that data. And here, what's that cost? $522 billion a year in unpaid caregiving absorbed by the U.S. workforce. That's 67% of caregivers report it directly impacts their primary relationship. So then you're compounding. You've got issue of being a caregiver. Now you've got issues of the relationship at home.
Yes. See, that's the problem. See, Kevin isn't actually the problem. He's trying to understand what's going on. If you think about what the kind of stress that puts on a relationship when you have somebody being a caregiver and you don't feel cared for anymore. We have that with basic. I mean, a wife scrolling on a phone and somebody not having her full attention, right?
That's
if we have a wife saying, I need something, I need you to understand what I need in order to want to be more intimate, for example. We see this all the time. Can you imagine now if your time is diverse and spread so thin with caregiving, and then you're still supposed to go to work and just show up?
That's right.
That's right. Like you're telling me you think you have the answers at your work to increase your bottom line, to make more money, to profit hard. But the problem is, if you don't care about your employees and what they're going through, then you can't possibly earn more money because you can't overcome this kind of. They don't even know what the fuck to talk about at their home. They don't even know how to label it.
That's right.
They don't know what to say. They're like, well, I have to take care. This is interfering with a relationship. We're seeing the stress at work. And I mean, we can go on.
How do you even deal with that? How do you say, hey, honey, I hate it that you're taking care of your mother.
Exactly.
Look at me. You sound so selfish.
You sound like an asshole.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
But so you quietly just let things go. And what does a quiet marriage go?
Mm-hmm. Goes nowhere but downhill.
Goes nowhere.
And ends. That's why we have a job.
So the fix here is not that, the EAP that she created had a caregiver hotline, someone that could actually talk to someone else who could help walk them through the emotional issues and the psychological issues that go along with that. But the fix isn't going to be that hotline. It's reminding Diane that who she is not her obligations.
Yes.
That's identity work, and that's what we do. That's what we do. The surgery there, every dollar in caregiver support returns $1.50 to $3 in reduced turnover, absenteeism, and health care costs within 12 to 18 months. So the North Bridge, the total bleed there, this is math. We've got an incredible calculator that we get. $4.58 million a year. So 20% improvement saves $916,000 annually.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more, James.
All right, sounds good.
All right, your top rep is not underperforming because he's lost his edge. He's carrying $94,000 of shame into every call he makes.
Okay, we're talking about Jason here.
Yeah, I love this story. I love this one.
Jason is a broker. He's a senior broker, so he's got other brokers underneath him. He's 43 years old, and the dude's banking. He's making $130,000 a year. And most people go, man, $130,000 a lot. But guess what? He's got $94,000 on 4 credit cards. Why? He's so stupid. No, because he made no money during COVID. So he had to keep the lights on. He had to keep, and he's a senior broker. Remember, he's got brokers working for him. He had to keep the house. He had to keep his story clean, right? Because remember, the stigma rises with the title.
Here we go. Identity work.
Yep. His wife, Sarah, trusts the numbers he gives her. And that trust, that specific trust, is exactly what makes the secret feel impossible to break. What's this man doing?
This is one of my.
I've heard you talk about this a lot.
Yeah, this is financial infidelity.
Yeah.
Financial infidelity. See, people think betrayal is just cheating, physically having an affair.
Right.
They might definitely broach into the emotional stuff, but infidelity. Well, I mean, I can go on for days here, but it's any form of betrayal, lies, deceit, right? And we see this a lot with marriage problems, is the financial infidelity, and it's not always intentional, right, James? Like sometimes, like in this case, Jason is extremely concerned about what he's had to do to survive during COVID.
Right. And he's embarrassed.
He's embarrassed. He's full of shame.
That's right.
Right? He feels guilty. He doesn't want to disappoint his wife. He doesn't want to feel like he's not good enough. There's so many labels that he's put on himself as a man who's not functioning correctly, even though he should be. He's a senior broker.
That's right.
Right? I mean, I got some numbers here. 76% of cases of relationship with sexual infidelity, it's actually it's 76% more with the financial.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
That's right.
Yeah, it's about not just about money, it's about trust. It's
right.
It's about every day Jason doesn't tell Sarah the cost of her finding out gets higher.
That's right.
It's scary.
And so then you just don't. And you try to, and what's Jason doing? I'll tell you what he's doing. He reported it. He gets up at 3 a.m. every day for a year and 2 months. Okay. And he's doing the mental math on interest rates he can talk about. And then he walks into client calls carrying every bit of that as a broker. So financial stress activates the brain's threat detection system, the neurological issues that are going on there. So the cortisol response tells him he's in danger. He's about to lose everything. There's somebody chasing him with a bear that has a chain. The bear's chasing him with a chainsaw. And so what happens there, the prefrontal cortex says danger, 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 and his nervous system says danger. His prefrontal cortex is impaired. So what does that do? Negotiation, persuasion, being calm under pressure, staying grounded. His close rate hasn't dropped because he forgot how to sell or he's not working or he became lazy. His brain thinks he's about to lose it all and it's in threat mode. And every single time, no matter how hard he tries, that's all that's running through the subconscious programming of his brain.
James, that's exactly where it is. His brain is in threat mode.
Yes.
Every single call.
That's right.
And his fucking manager just puts him on a performance review.
Yeah. That means you're about to get fired if you don't start producing.
Exactly. We're looking at KPIs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You stack the pressure on top of the shame problem.
Yes.
What? That Jason, like most high-earning men, that's the last person the company wants to raise his hand and say he needs help.
That's right.
He's not. He's already under a stigma and an image problem.
Right.
He's got to keep this up. He looks good on paper.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But now, excuse me, 47% of employees earning over $100,000 report significant financial stress.
Wow.
That's the high earner exemption as a myth.
Yes.
See, the shame of high earners is proportionally greater because there's more to lose if anyone finds out.
That's right. Yeah.
I'd like to just say that again. The shame for high earners is proportionately greater Because there's more to lose if anyone finds out.
That's right. And see, the clients are not that he talks to, and all the sales that he's done for you. He didn't get to be senior broker because he can't sell. All right. They're not rejecting Jason's pitch. They're not rejecting his offer. They're not rejecting anything. They're responding to his energy. And he knows it, but he can't stop it. He can't fix it. And that knowing makes the next call even worse.
Oh yeah, the day Jason tells Sarah is the day his close rate starts recovering.
Yeah.
Right? You release
That's right.
shame by you let go of shame and guilt, guys. I learned this in my own story by telling people what I did before.
Right.
Because I'm not the same person.
That's right.
So the start for Jason is to tell Sarah what's going on.
That's
and
right.
the moment that happens, the debt's not gone.
That's right.
But he can start to move in a place where he can start to feel less ashamed, more like a man who's on a mission to accomplish something like overcoming the debt.
Yes.
Right? The weight of the secret is gone.
Yeah.
The conversation his company keeps not having is the intervention that actually works.
Yeah, because the company doesn't want to have it either.
Yeah, I got some numbers here.
All right.
$183 billion per year is the annual cost of financial stress to U.S. employees. 7.3 hours per week are lost per employee. That's thinking about it on the job.
That's right.
Right? 47% of earnings, so $100,000 plus, report significant financial stress. Okay? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
47% earning $100,000 plus report financial stress.
That's almost half.
Significant. Yeah. Crazy. Financially stressed employees are 2 times more likely to be actively interviewing elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's according to Brightplan 2024.
That's right. And Price Waterhouse also does some research there, and they confirm that data. Everything that we've seen, we've confirmed in two or three different places. Now, the surgery for this bleed is a financial wellness program, but not just a program. But what we found, according to iGride Financial Wellness, they did an ROI study. ROI stands return on investment. Is that when companies and organizations offer a financial wellness program, it has a 1,551% return on investment. So that means
1,500.
Yeah.
Whoa.
700. That's actually the greatest ROI of anything that we see almost across the board. $775 saved per employee for a $20 to $50 per employee investment.
Like,
So
it's a no-brainer.
The Summit Total Bleed, Summit is the company we're talking about. And Jason's company, what they're losing right now, we did a calculation for them, $3.17 million a year. A 20% improvement saves them $634,000 annually. The surgery isn't a budget spreadsheet, guys. It's not a meeting to tell the salespeople to get off their ass and let's work harder. It is literally helping Jason understand personally that his worth is not his net worth. And
oh, God. Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
Helping Jason understand that his worth is not his net worth.
Amen.
So that's it. And that's what we do. And that's what we're talking about here. So, we've got a lot of these case studies, Cass. I think we sort of run out of time here, but we should pull them up and do some more tomorrow or do some more next week.
Yeah, let's do it, guys. This is the human. Let's do it, guys. This is the human bleed. This is what James and I do for relationship. We've learned, we've gone deep and we've really learned, and we're helping companies understand that a lot of people think relationships health is the foundation. A lot of people think health is the foundation for your success, and I just don't believe that. I think your relationship is. I think
That's
that
right.
if we want to see the economy turn around, I'm tired, James, of people talking about the economy is a problem. We had a story today about COVID. I lost everything in COVID. It's not the problem. I got my shit together in my marriage, and I got myself back on top.
You did.
Right? I think you'd even go deeper. It's really about knowing yourself.
Knowing yourself. I like to say that the most important relationship that you'll ever have in this human life is the relationship you have with yourself. Because if you don't know you, no one else can. And if you don't love you, then no one else can love you. So the human bleed, the idea is simple. What happens at home doesn't stay at home. It follows your people into every meeting, every client call, every decision, everything. And everything that they do for your company, it affects it. So these 7 categories of human disruption, what it costs, what the fix is, this is what we're talking about. And we're doing it because we care. And we've realized that helping people one at a time is good. But people spend most of their time at work. And so we've got to integrate and intersect these two spaces, work and home, because they are not separate spaces. So that's what we've
No,
been talking about today.
exactly. The human bleed is designed to show you that if you're in a small business, if you're in a medium business, if you're in a large business, if you really want to affect your bottom line, you got to get right with your people, which means you got to get your people right. You got to get your people safe, secure, and through all the bullshit. That's
Yes.
really what it is. And we see that with our own culture, be a product of the product.
Yes.
The more that I focus on relationship and James focuses on identity, and the more that we actually teach real leadership, we're seeing incredible improvements. It was by accident, right? Just
Yeah.
because of some of our clients coming to save their marriages, and then we see that they're using the tools that we teach them at their work, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
My very first story was a mortgage broker in Canada doing 8 million a year, and 6 months later, after using the program, working with us, and what did he see? $12 million.
Yeah.
That's change. $4 million in 6 months,
That's right.
right? So that's what we're doing here, guys. We want to make sure that people understand relationship. If you have problems in your relationship, if you don't understand hormones, if you don't understand what grief looks like, I
Right.
mean, we've identified 7 human bleeds that literally shape your bottom line, or actually kill your bottom line. It's really
That's right.
important.
That's
Yeah.
right. And you'd be surprised. Hormonal shifts to marriage problems, to financial issues, to parental stress, all the
Mm-hmm.
way down to hidden debt, sleep deprivation.
Oh, we haven't even. Today was our first day busting this out live, but wait till
Yes,
we get to things that are more close to home
that's right.
besides financial debt, like I don't know, porn,
Yep. Yep.
social
Grief,
media.
loss,
Yeah,
the death of a
yes,
parent.
yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy. So, guys, stay tuned.
So,
We're gonna keep busting these out for you, and we'll see you next time.
all righty. Take care.
See ya.